The Near East is a land of paradox. There are thriving cities that look much like those in America or Europe. The automobile horn, the radio, the hi-fi make these cities sound the same as Philadelphia or St. Louis or Los Angeles. There are doctors and lawyers, laborers, merchants, and government officials. Men work, women sew, and children go to school. Other towns and cities have not emerged completely into the 20th century. Signs of progress are everywhere, but life is still governed largely by tradition. Conveniences such as traffic jams, lighted streets, plumbing are rarely encountered. But outside the cities and towns, life goes on much as it has for centuries. There are in the Near East tens of thousands of mud villages where millions of people live. The struggle for existence occupies all the daylight hours. The reluctant earth gives forth few bounties. Land holdings are small, and the traditional methods of tilling the tired soil produce little surplus for the future. In the absence of elementary sanitary facilities, what little water available is often polluted and carries diseases that rob people of the energy needed to organize and carry out a profitable program of agriculture. Without effective agricultural production, other trades cannot thrive, as commerce, trade, and specialization depend upon a surplus of food. These are good people. They are intelligent and eager. They respond to education when it is offered. Their lives need not continue in this way generation after generation. Although the land will not produce abundantly using the traditional methods of cultivation, there are ways in which the endless circle of disease and poverty can be broken, and the earth will give of its bounty. For where there are people, soil, water, and sunshine, plus knowledge and skill, the earth can be made to respond. Water from the rivers can be stored and diverted to the areas where the soil awaits. And with the correct methods of fertilization, these barren lands can become productive. Knowledge and skills which can be learned make the difference and will pass from one generation to the next. The earth will be green, there will be more food and less disease. At the village of Mamazan near Tehran, Near East Foundation, working with the Iranian government, helped to establish an agricultural school for boys. In an area that was a desert, subsurface water was located. With the wise use of this water and the introduction of modern techniques, the desert bloomed. This school, which started modestly in a mud hut, is now operated completely by the Iranian government. Hundreds of young men have learned modern methods of agriculture and are now helping others to use the same techniques. Thus, given the same resources, human and otherwise, knowledge and skill can make the difference. Graduates of this school now occupy important positions in the government. Their training in agriculture helps government planners to recognize the necessity for agricultural reform and to support such improvements. A relatively modest investment in human beings can make this difference. Near the Caspian Sea, another school for boys grew in the wilderness area with the help of Near East Foundation. Again, working with the government, opportunities were opened for those who otherwise would not enjoy the benefits of formal education. The future belongs to these youths, and what they will make of it will depend upon their skills, knowledge, and attitudes. Recognizing that girls can also influence the home, the family, and the village, a school for girls was started near the village of Galinu. These girls learn child care, sanitation, and gardening. Beginning modestly in a mud hut, the school, now operated by the government, continues to provide an opportunity for the new generation to learn how to help themselves with the resources at hand. In the city of Dezful in southern Iran, Near East Foundation helped to establish another school for village girls. Here again, modern knowledge and skills learned at this school will find their way back to the mud villages. Though these school facilities are meager, measured by American standards, there are few dropouts, or civil demonstrations. With an eagerness to learn and progress, even a modest amount of formal education means a giant step forward. To know, to understand, and to teach others is one of the great human satisfactions. There are vast areas of barren land in southern Iran. The tough, dry soil does not respond to traditional methods of cultivation. Near the city of Ahwaz, an agricultural college has grown in the desert. Near East Foundation, cooperating with the Iranian government, has provided the technical assistance for building this college, developing the curriculum, and making the desert bloom. 10 years ago, this was a barren plain. It is now operating as a 4-year agricultural college under the direction of the Iranian government. Here, students learn the techniques which will help transform the barren land into productive acres. The soil, the sunshine, and the water in the nearby river have been here for generations. Modern techniques with equipment applied to these resources produce the results. More food, a better life, and human dignity can now come to thousands of people who learn to help themselves. Education is the magic potion that brings this about. Water, the great friend of man, now wets the parched land. Instead of running wasted into the endless sea, it gives hope where there was little hope before. Government leaders now see the vast area of southern Iran as a primary source of agricultural products. Technical skill is one of the keys which has unlocked the approach to these resources. This is a deserted village. The people who lived here were driven away from their homes by a snail. In these houses, people lived for many years. They toiled, sang, and raised children. Then came a day when the snails in their water supply brought an age-old disease, bilharzia. This debilitating disease infected old and young alike. Unable to cope with the source of the infection, the people moved away and left their homes. Human beings contract bilharzia when they use water in which the microscopic worms live. These small organisms can penetrate the human skin quickly and painlessly. Where people wash, walk, or bathe in water polluted by these organisms, they may catch bilharzia. Disease-bearing snails propagate in ponds, streams, canals, and swamps. To control the disease, these breeding bodies of water must be identified by technicians. Near East Foundation, working with the World Health Organization and the Iranian government, is waging a winning battle against the snail and bilharzia. Live mice or rats in cages are placed in the streams. If the stream is polluted, these rodents contract the disease, which is identified in the laboratory. Infected areas on the map are located and the campaign for snail control gets underway. Technicians in the field decide the best method of eliminating the snail. One way is to drain swampy areas. Volunteer workers from nearby villages cooperate in this project because it means better health for them and their families, and in the process they learn something about the cause of the disease. Another way to beat the snail is to fill in swampy areas where they breed. Heavy equipment is required for this job, and often the result is increased areas for planting crops. Education of villagers is an important part of the campaign against the snail. Technicians teach the villagers about chemical control and how to use the equipment required to carry out this campaign. Where breeding places cannot be dried up, snails can be destroyed by chemicals. Motor-driven pumps are used in this process. Careful experimentation with different chemicals has identified the most effective and economical to use. After such a treatment, these waters are safe to humans unless through poor sanitation there is new infection. To destroy the snails in the stream, a metering can keeps chemical solution dripping into water steadily for hours. But killing the snail will not cure those who have the dreaded disease of bilharzia. For those who have the worms in their body, there are pills which clear the system of the scourge. Each infected person is carefully checked to make certain he swallows the pill. Many of these villagers have never had this experience and do not know how to do it. Curing the disease is one thing, but keeping well is another. Sources of pure water must be provided so thirst can be quenched and clothes washed without fear of infection. Properly constructed wells for the village answer this need. And so does the helping hand help people to break the vicious circle of poverty and disease. For a better life is available to those who will learn and work with the resources available to them. The most precious gift that can be given is knowledge and hope toward a better life that one can earn for himself. The next generation will live better lives. Americans for more than half a century have been helping people in the Near East to help themselves.